Alright, so the next one I'm going to go and hop over to Desmos because I'm not the best at visualizing this one necessarily. As far as graphing, I can't be like, oh, this is what this looks like. Yeah, no, even I can't do some of those graphs without making a bunch of t-charts. So if I was to graph sine of x over x, what's going to end up happening is, well, I see that as I go to 0, my value does approach 1 from both sides, just looking at this piece, and I know we talked about that a couple sections ago. But as I'm going to positive and negative infinity, as I zoom out, it's getting closer and closer and closer and closer and closer to 0 every single time. And why that is because sine is going to oscillate in between -1 and +1, while that denominator grows super, super fast. So no matter if I have 1 over 1000 or -1 over 1000, just like we did in the first problem, that's still going to tend towards 0, no matter what number's in the denominator. So, in this particular case, it's just going to tend towards 0. Alright. So, there's also functions that have more than one asymptote, so this is also going to be a fun time. So, which one should I start with? I think I'm just going to start with the limit as x goes to infinity, just because why not? So, what's ending up going to happen is, well, this stuff, the 2x's grow significantly faster, so I can almost use like an end behavior model. So I've got 2x, or 2 to the x over -2 to the x. So what's ending up going to happen is basically I've got 1 times 2 to the x over -1 times 2 to the x, and those are just going to cancel out, leaving me with just a -1. So I should have a horizontal asymptote at y is equal to -1. Alright. But what happens as I plug in negative numbers? All the negative numbers for x are actually going to make these decimals. Because any negative exponent, if I had like 2 to the -2, that's actually going to make that 1 over 2 to the +2, otherwise known as 1/4, or 0.25. So each time, I'm going to be adding a smaller and smaller and smaller decimal, which means that these eventually are going to become really insignificant. So what's going to happen on the left-hand side is that these numbers basically go away, and all that I'm left with is this 5/3. So I'm just going to have y is equal to 5/3. And if you don't believe me, let's hop back on over to Desmos for a second. So visually, just graphing this one in purple, I'm going to zoom in some just so we can kind of see this. Oops, I need to zoom in on my y-axis a little bit and zoom out a little bit on my x. Alright, so as I'm going to the left, for example, I am getting closer and closer and closer to 5/3, hence the 1.66666667. And then as I am getting closer and closer and closer over here to infinity, it gets really, really close to -1. It's not actually -1, but Desmos has a really bad habit of only rounding a couple decimal places. So it's not actually ever touching -1. But like I said, those get very insignificant, so they kind of just drop out. Hopefully not like us some days, even though maybe we want to some days. Alright, and I think that is where I'm going to stop for today. We have a couple more problems to do, but I will save that for tomorrow. Have a great rest of your day. At this time, you should be able to do most of your homework if you still got some time. Alright, bye.